Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to check in with you as Unit 1 is winding down. Please do remember that all of the Unit 1 assignments are due this Sunday, the 29th, by midnight, or in Blackboard speak, that's 11:59 p.m. What we're doing for Unit 1, if you remember, are the introductions on the discussion board, the email assignment where you look through the course and the syllabus and then email me your responses to the questions. You're also going to create or add an avatar to your Blackboard account. You're going to post your first tweets. That needs to be a primary source and a secondary source relative to Latin America using our course hashtag, which is #H1182, no spaces. And then you're going to also respond to the discussion on what is history, why do we study it, and finally, the discussion on the discussion board, you're going to post a question that requires those who are responding to your question to compare the two readings that were assigned. So we're reading the first chapter in the Chastain book, as well as the Michel Gobat essay on the invention of Latin America. The Gobat essay, there's a link to that in the learning module. If you still have not been able to get the Chastain book, there's a link to a Google Books version of an earlier edition of that book, so you can read chapter 1 there. If you have the third edition of the Chastain book, instead of calling it chapter 1, it's called the introduction chapter, and then chapter 1 starts after the introduction. I think that's the only edition that's numbered that way. The rest of them, the introduction is chapter 1. So hopefully that's not too confusing. But what you're doing is you read through both of those chapters, the chapter in Chastain and then the Gobat essay, is you're thinking about how different scholars define Latin America in somewhat different ways. So think about how they approach that question of what Latin America is, where it is, how it's best defined, and then after you've read those, you want to come up with your own question that you will post to the discussion board that will require the rest of us to think about how those two readings relate to each other. So as I mentioned in the learning module, you could either try a compare and contrast. You could think about, how do their approaches to Latin America differ? What are the things that they're most concerned about as they try to define Latin America? Again, those are some directions that you could go in with your questions. What we're thinking about with this first question assignment is how to really formulate a strong discussion question, because that's what we'll be doing on the discussion board for the rest of the semester. You'll be trying to ask a really good question that will inspire discussion, that won't have ready, easy answers. You're not asking for a factual answer, but instead you're asking for people to kind of think through some of the major issues, historical or methodological, that we'll be reading about. If you have any questions about any of this, please do ask. Over the next few days, I will be continuing to provide feedback on the work that you're doing. I will also be scoring and providing feedback for being there on Twitter. If you have any questions about how to get started with Twitter, please do refer to the video tutorials that I have created, and then just ask any questions that you have, and I'll be happy to help.